Incoming game over. Warning. Incoming game over.
Embarrassing, pathetic, dismal. Pick your adjective. Leafs lose game 5, 6-1 to the Florida Panthers. Down 3-2 in the series. And feeling, let's say, more than a little hopeless after a just brutal performance in that game. Nick Robertson gets a goal. Yay, hope, maybe. I don't know. We're going to talk about it. I think it's safe to say Leafs Nation feeling a little, more than a little let down right now. I'm Dominic Jones. That's Zach Payne. We're going to hear Game Over Toronto. Let's talk about it. Zach, how are you feeling? How are you feeling after that disgrace that we saw?
This team makes me drink. That, you know what the worst part is? We're the lucky ones, Dominic. There were people who paid upwards of $1,000 to sit in that arena tonight.
Yeah.
The entire Toronto Maple Leafs organization owes every fan in that building a refund.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine paying for that game to be there. And, you know, when folks started booing in the second period, I was like, wow, booing in a playoff game. And then it occurred to me.
Like it was going early.
Yeah. Then it clicked. I'm like, oh no, I'd boo too. That was bad. There was literally until Robertson scored that goal from his butt with, a minute to go. What was there to cheer about if you're a Leafs fan? A couple of breakaways early that go nowhere.
Yeah, so
a big hit here and there, again, early, but through the second and third, they could not get anything going. And the Panthers ate their lunch. They just beat them. There never seemed to be any pushback. There never seemed to be a moment where the Leafs were in it. They seemed timid. They seemed scared. They seemed scared of the Panthers. They seemed scared of the moment. They seemed scared of going after the puck. And when you play scared, I think the whole game is summed up in the first goal. That first goal where it's just sort of bouncing around. They have several opportunities to get out of their zone, and they couldn't do it. And it winds up going in.
Man. Oh,
I thought that was the game. That was the game. That whole one play is indicative. Yeah.
2 Charmin Ultra Soft passes behind the net. Both hit Sasha Barkov. The top line is emblematic of the entire team's problems tonight, which is nobody wanted to dig in and win a battle. Like, we could talk about the X's and O's. We could talk about what the Panthers did well, which is a lot of things. But the truth is that after they won game 3, the Panthers found another gear of intensity and physicality, in effort, in hustle. And the Leafs have still not matched that. And so in game 4, it was 2-0, but the Leafs got killed. The Leafs had nothing going that entire game. They got outworked, out-hustled, outplayed in every aspect imaginable. And this, whatever this was just the ultimate version of getting dominated in the playoffs. You never see blowouts in the playoffs. And even when you do, you never see them late in series like this. They're almost always in the Leafs power play ran the Senators show in game 1 of these playoffs. And that was not a competitive game. The Leafs just ran their show. That game looks like the most competitive game on earth compared to whatever tonight was. Because the Leafs, like you said, they just didn't have any juice. William Nylander, bless his heart, he had a couple of rush chances, but it's not like he was defensively, he was a nightmare tonight. And even the breakaways he did have weren't particularly threatening. The first one, he was a pretty decent chance, but he just couldn't elevate the puck. The Leafs might have had 3 or 4 partial breaks that Bobrovsky made the easiest saves on. They weren't particularly challenging. And you know what? I'm honestly a little salty that Robertson did even score, because it would have been better to just have 2 horrible games, give Bobrovsky the easiest back-to-back shutouts of his entire career, and then that way, when you finally score in Game 6, hopefully, it means more. But stupid Robertson and his stupid game after a healthy scratch lives on. So please scratch him Game 6 so that if you do make it to Game 7...
You can put him back in.
Man.
Yeah. OKO Digital in our chat says, living in Australia, I took the day off work to watch this game.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You know, I never discourage anybody from taking a day off work. I think a day off work always is a good idea, but man, if this is what you were looking forward to. I mean, to be fair, I spent all day at work looking forward to this game and got this nonsense. But yeah, that's brutal. It's they seemed scared. They seemed scared, and that's what this team, this iteration of this Leafs team, was not supposed to be. They weren't supposed to be scared. They weren't supposed to be scared of the Panthers. They weren't supposed to be scared of the Lightning, the Bruins, anybody. And what was so exhilarating about games 1, 2, and 3 of this series, even 3 which they lost, is they didn't really ever feel scared. There may have been moments where they wobbled. There were moments where they didn't live up to their potential. Those games were all kind of close. They were all kind of wild. But they didn't seem scared. This game, they were afraid of everything. I think the pressure got to them. It's not an excuse. Not an excuse in the slightest, not for this group. But it was like they understood the moment. They understood how big the moment was, and it spooked them. And they couldn't accomplish anything. Bobrovsky, like you said, he made some saves. They were decent. He made them. But nothing particularly challenging, not until the very end of the game. And you don't win playing that way. And the Panthers, on the other hand, they were energetic. They were on the puck. They were winning battles. They were getting in the way of shots. They were doing everything that you need to do to win. You look at that team and you go, yeah, that's a team that won the Stanley Cup last year, and that's a team that could win the Stanley Cup this year. You look at the Leafs play tonight, they look like a team that shouldn't have made the playoffs. We know they're better. We know that this isn't their potential. This isn't their peak. We know that, but it looked like a team that wasn't even happy to be there. And that's just not going to work. It's just not going to work if you have any hopes of there being a Game 7, let alone Game 1 of Round 3.
They are, well, I mean, so after the Game 5 loss to Ottawa, where the Leafs looked horrible, we sat here on this show and we said, the Leafs are starting to look like their old selves. And now, once again, we sit here, except it's a bit of a different situation. Now the Leafs are the ones that are facing elimination in Game 6, and you have to win 2 in a row against the defending champs to save your season. And the Leafs are now on their final chance to prove to us that they aren't the same team that we've been watching for the last 8 years. This is their final chance to prove that they are different in any stretch of the imagination. There are 2 players specifically that are at the crux of that conversation that we will talk about a little bit later, because the discourse online is sure to be beyond exhausting, especially around one of them that might not be here next year. So, but Friday night there are two things that could happen. It is either the death of this core, or it is the core elevating to prove to us that they deserve to stay together. And you know what the best part is? They could do that Friday night. They could even win. Maybe they look great. Maybe they win 6-1. And then they have to do it again Sunday. Yeah. So you now have, you'll have a 3-day stretch where you have to have your 2 best efforts of the last 9 years to prove to us that you deserve to stay together. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said earlier, they burned their chance. They burned their freebie. They wasted it on this game. At one point, the thought that occurred to me was that, again, I think kind of sums up this whole situation, this whole game. The Panthers on the penalty kill looked more dangerous than the Leafs on the power play.
Yep.
I don't know. it's incredible. I'm genuinely in awe of this Panthers penalty kill. How they have figured out the Leafs power play so succinctly, so perfectly, that all of a sudden the puck goes down the ice. It's not, okay, we'll start again. Here we go. It's like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? It feels like they are more of a threat to score a shorthanded goal. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I mean, you watched the game, you saw it. It's there every time, and none of the Leafs back check on the power play either. Like one or two of them goes back. The rest of them are just dilly dallying at center, hoping that somebody can get the puck to them.
Yeah, man, that part's brutal. But like, okay, if we're gonna give flowers to the Panthers, like you said, their penalty kill is unbelievable. I said this on the last stream, but I don't know how any coach watches the Panthers and Hurricanes kill penalties and come to the conclusion that you shouldn't be hyper aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, watching how fantastic the aggressive penalty kill structure is in the NHL right now. Why isn't every penalty kill in the league doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Only 2 of them are, and they're the 2 best in the league. Now, I do want to also clarify, the Panthers also put Nikita Kucherov and the Tampa Bay Lightning's power play in a box, and they did not let them out. Like, this is not exclusive to the Leafs. The Panthers penalty kill is, like I said, one of the best in the league. But that being said, the difference here, and the more frustrating part, is the Leafs top unit. This has been a problem for years. Anytime they face any kind of pressure on the penalty, or like on the power play, they are incapable of making quick decisions. They're incapable of moving their legs. They're incapable of winning a battle and showing any sort of fight. They just, as soon as there's pressure, it's just they're kind of juggling the puck. They don't really know what to do, and then it's dumped out, and then they can't get back in. They can't get set up. On the odd chance they get a shot off, it's not dangerous. It's from the perimeter. So, two things can be true. One, we should absolutely praise what the Florida Panthers have been able to do with their penalty kill. At the same time, this is not the first time that an aggressive penalty kill has completely stifled the Leafs.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Other part of this that I think we should touch on here. Joe Wool gets pulled from this game. Yeah. Matt Murray goes in. I like that Matt Murray tried to start a fight at the end of the game. I appreciate that. I'm like, you need somebody to show some fire, and I wouldn't have picked Matt Murray because I didn't think he would have been in the game. But I like that he's in there. He knows what he's there for. He knows what he's supposed to do at this point. Look, you don't score until the last minute of the game. You're not likely to win most games. So you can't hang this one on Joe Wool. He made a ton of great saves early. Had a couple of stinkers later in the game. At least one that you really wish he'd have back. But I mean, unless Stolar's is like miraculously healthy, you're going back to Wool for Game 6. And
absolutely. OKO Digital puts it perfect. Mercy pull.
Yeah.
Joseph Wool, he was completely hung out to dry by his team. There was one bad goal. I think it was Mikkola.
Yeah, the slap shot. Yeah,
over the pad, under the glove, kind of thing. That one, that one you kind of want back. But at the end of the day, you have whatever the first line was doing against Barkov there, and Ekblad just rips one over the shoulder after Wool made 3 straight incredible saves.
Yeah. You
have Scott Lawton with the best deflection of his life, top shelf on Joe Wool off a point shot. That was brutal. You have a 3-on-2, which, oh my lord, we should probably go into more detail on that 3-on-2, the third goal, but that a brutal giveaway, and then that same player leaving a player wide open on the back post, taps it in, cool. That's nothing that Wool can do there.
No.
The 4th goal you want back, and then the 5th goal, I don't even remember what was. The 5th goal hits McCabe in the face, and then Greer is just right there on the doorstep. That's just a bad bounce. Joseph Wool I don't blame him at all. One bad goal, but nothing he could have done in this game would have. And you could have put prime Dominic Hasek in net tonight. The Leafs were losing this game. There is no goaltender performance that you could have had tonight that would have won you this game.
Yeah. No. There was nothing he could have done, nothing anybody could have done. No. Just brutal. Those shots of him on the bench Oh, he just looked so sad. He looked so heartbroken.
Sorry, Joseph.
Yeah, he deserved so much better. He deserved so much better. He looked like he had that like look that you get when you're upset, you're frustrated, and he also looked really, really tired. I hope he's not up all night thinking about those goals. I hope he's able to just go home, hit the pillow, and pass out. I think that's what he needs after this one. Let's move into our second period here. We could, like I said, there's no point in going goal by goal in this one. We all know where it all wound up.
we should touch on one goal though.
All right,
like
take it away.
I alluded to.
Take it away.
Okay, so the score at this point is 2-0 in the game. The Leafs are still very much capable of coming back. And in his infinite wisdom, Mitch Marner, from his own zone, throws a no-look spinorama backhand pass up the middle of the ice, turned over, back the other way, 3-on-2, and then he stands perfectly still while Jesper Bokvist just skates by him to the back post for a tap-in goal. There has never been a more perfect play to show anyone, like, if there is anyone in the world that is wondering why the question of should Mitch Marner be re-signed is even a conversation, show them that play, the context around that play, that it is a 2-2 series and it is game 5 of the second round, and that is the kind of play, decision making, and effort you are getting from someone who is demanding $14 million a year. That is beyond unacceptable. This is I'll be the first to admit, for as much of a Matthews stan as I am, Matthews has not done Marner any favors these playoffs at all, right? No. In fact, I would say the favors, Marner at least did him a favor giving him a free goal in Game 3 against Ottawa when Allmark was looking the wrong way. But Mitch Marner, make no mistake, this was not even, like, it's not even an outlier. That's the worst part. He was horrifying in this game. He's been horrifying all series. He has a track record of being a genuinely negative player in games 5, 6, and 7. And the fact that this kind of play doesn't even surprise anyone is the worst part. Like, it was absolutely horrible. Like, okay, and let's run through this, right? Like, because the chat is catching up to this too. Marner can't be re-signed for more than $2 million. Like, that's where Leaf fans are at. Is Marner not able to tie up another forward on the back post? This isn't the first time he's tried to stick check a pass across and not done enough to stop the oncoming player. And this goes to a bigger point. Mitch Marner is afraid of contact. He's afraid of going to the dangerous areas. He's afraid of puck battles. He refuses to engage in these battles. There was one good play I saw Marner make all night. And you know what it was? He actually made a hit on a defender and stole the puck in the corner and then made a nice pass, and the Leafs got some zone time. And that was the only good play, because that was the first time I've seen him in a battle all series. He sits on the perimeter, does nothing. He refuses to attack the dangerous areas. He's becoming mighty predictable with his shot selection as the series progresses. I praised him for this earlier in the series, and that's gone because now he's taking these half clappers that are so easy to spot. And like, he is an anchor offensively. For as good as he is usually defensively, aside from that 3-on-2, he is an absolute anchor offensively. And this is exactly why everyone in Leafs Nation has been yelling and screaming about this guy for 5 years, 6 years, like,
for a long time.
Horrible.
Horrible. Here's the thing, like that spinorama pass to nowhere that leads to the goal, right? It had me thinking back to some of these other brutal passes to nowhere goals that have haunted the Leafs over the years. Travis Dermott, Alex Galchenyuk. With those ones, you can always sort of make the case of, okay, those are fringe guys.
Yeah, bad players. Like, here's one for you, Dominic. Here's one for you. What's worse? And this is a question for chat too. That spinorama back pass and then the failure to cover anyone, or the uncontested delay of game while shorthanded against Montreal? Which one?
God, maybe it's recency bias, but I feel like tonight. But
Because this was effort. This is just laziness and poor effort, whereas that one was actual nerves.
Yeah, and look, this is what I'm getting at. Like with those other goals, you can say it's fringe guys. There's not the good players. There's a case to be made that like, okay, the core could succeed. You just need to put better players around him. Well, now the core is the one throwing the pucks into the middle of the ice, turning them over, then leading to goals.
Yeah,
I don't know.
As Matthew says,
yeah, take it away.
Like, as Matthew says, the pass behind the net when Tanev just tried to pass it to Marner and Marner couldn't find it and it gets turned over. Like,
yeah,
this guy genuinely like just can't. They forget how to play hockey. They don't know how to play hockey in crunch time, and it's shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's shocking is the word for it. We are in our second period now here, Game Over Toronto. Very quickly, remember, subscribe to the channel. We are we're 2 away from 200 here.
2 away
from 200. Let's get there before this is all over. Before this season is done, before the playoffs is done, before Game 6, let's get to that 200 points. So make sure you're sharing things, make sure you're getting the word out, and if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to Game Over Toronto. We've gone in on Marner a bit there.
I'm not.
I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this because there is at least one more game. So I don't want to do the eulogy. I don't want to do the eulogy yet.
No.
As tempting as it is, don't want to do it yet. But in our group chat amongst ourselves, our co-host Lauren asked this question, and I think it bears repeating on the air. Was this Mitch Marner's last game as a Leaf in Scotiabank Arena?
We'll see if they win Friday.
But man, if this is the performance you're getting, it feels that way. Certainly feels that way. Take it away. Jump in here.
I want to. Okay, so again, we've been digging on this guy for years.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of reason why. Okay, so I want to contrast a few of these things. Austin Matthews, after the game, I think everyone has to look in the mirror, myself included. I think we just fed into what makes them successful. All we can do is regroup and reset. On the fans leaving early, I don't think we gave them much reason to stick around. Chris Tanev, I'll take responsibility. I need to be better. Okay? So you have two leaders saying, hey, we need to look in the mirror. I know, but that includes me, right?
The captain,
Mitch,
one of the veterans. That's what you want to hear from those. I mean, you don't want to hear this sort of thing, but if you in this situation, that's what you need to hear.
Ownership. Yeah. Right? Mitch Marner, flush it down the toilet. That's it. Just flush it down the toilet. That's all he said.
Dude.
Nothing about him needing to be better. Nothing about his responsibility for the third goal that he entirely caused. Nothing about anything. Just, just throw this game out.
No, you can't throw this game out. This isn't a burn the tape game. This is a game that you need to watch again, and basically Berube just needs to put the game on, have everybody watch it, and say, "See that? Don't do that again. Never again. Don't do this again." You can't. Yes, move on from it. Play better next game. Flush it down the toilet in that sense, sure. But you got it. You got to look back at this one and understand every single mistake that was made, and try and clear your head so that you don't make them again on Friday in a hostile environment where you don't have last change.
And Matthew says this as ironically, but he's not even wrong. We all know the Leafs are going to win Friday night just to lose on Sunday in Game 7 because that's what they do. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The thing, okay, and I would actually be able to flush this game in the toilet if this was the first time I'd ever seen this effort from this core.
Yeah.
If the script was reversed and the Leafs just blew the Panthers out 6-1 in Game 5 to take a 3-2 series lead, would any Panthers fan be hitting a panic button or be preparing a eulogy? They'd be like, no, because they're the defending champs, and just that's an outlier thrown in the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the Leafs, and we've seen this before. We've seen it time and time again that when it matters most, These guys, specifically Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews, depending on the year. Because, by the way, most random player, like John Tavares, I think has dog in him, right? The Leafs just got him a little too late in his career to take full advantage of that. William Nylander has some dog in him. He just isn't good enough to carry the team by himself.
Sure.
Mitch Marner has negative dog in him. And then Austin Matthews is the most inconsistent playoff performer. And this is the most frustrating part, is Austin Matthews 1 year can snipe 5 in a 6-game series, 5 in a 7-game series. And you see like, wow, the best goal scorer in the league, and he's scoring 5 in a series. Like, look at this guy go. And then he has series like 2023 second round against Florida, which, by the way, was a follow-up of scoring 5 in a 4-game stretch against Tampa in that first round. And then he scored 0 in that 5-game series. And now we're 5 games in, and he has scored 0 against Florida this series. It is absolutely hysterical how inconsistent. This guy is either dominant or invisible in the playoffs. There is no in between.
Yeah. It's in the early part of the series, right? You could, when they were winning, you could get away with he's playing well on defense. Well, he's doing the other things, right? He's doing all that stuff.
Won.
And because they were winning. But he is the captain. He is the highest paid player. He is the best player. And if you are going to succeed, you need that person to step up and lead. And look, he's as we said, he's doing the right things off the ice, but you need him to lead the way on the ice. You need him to be there to get the big goal in the big moment. You look at his counterpart in Edmonton. Say what you will.
Don't do this.
Connor McDavid does that. And you know what? That Amazon series last year about the last season. Is there anybody on this Leafs team you imagine screaming dig deep, the way McDavid did?
Chris Tanev.
Maybe Chris Tanev. I mean, Tanev seems chill. He might not go full meltdown the way McDavid did, but he then backs that up with his play on the ice. He comes out and he does it. That's
the difference.
And
these guys can say the right things, like Matthews. We said he was saying the right thing.
Yeah.
When has it's been so few and far between that he's backed it up?
Yeah. Look, if he can come out on Friday and lead the way, 2 goals and an assist, they win. There's no doubt about it. Scores a big goal at a big moment. I'll eat my words. Sure, I'm happy to do that.
If the Leafs win this series and Austin Matthews is the best player in Game 6 and 7, there will be a statue built of him. The bar is so incredibly low. Yeah. He needs 2 good games in the playoffs, and we will worship him like a deity.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it this season. The last time I remember him, there was 2 moments in this game that I was like, oh, that's Austin Matthews. And the one, I think it was either 2 or 3-0 at this point, where he just hits Reinhart, takes the puck off him, takes it to the net, and gets 2 or 3 bang and crash chances at the net. I was like, oh, that's Austin Matthews. That's who I've been waiting to see. And then in the third period, when it was 5 or 6-0, I saw him banging and crashing. I'm like, well, I'm glad you're doing that. Do that when it's 0-0 next time.
Exactly. All right, let's move into our third period here. I don't even know what we're supposed to plug at this point. Follow Game Over on social media at Game Over.
The Game Over Network on all social media channels.
Check it out. It's good stuff. Game 6 is Friday, or Game 4 is Saturday. I don't know anymore. Game 6 is Friday. It is not over. It's not over till it's over. Excuse me. Is there what? No, not going to say is there. What reasons for hope are there going into Game 6?
Just 12 months ago, the Toronto Maple Leafs played their worst game of the series against the Boston Bruins in Game 4. and they were horrible, and we all clowned them, and we said the season is over. Austin Matthews is out for Game 5. Everything is horrible. This is done. Like, wrap it up. Let's go home. And they responded with a good effort and a win in Boston, and then a good defensive effort and a win to force Game 7. If not for nothing, we know that teams, when their back is against the wall, they do come out with more effort. They will come out flying. I fully expect Berube to be able to get whatever the best out of this core is. He will get it out for Game 6, Game 7 to be determined, if they even make it there. I would be very surprised if they lost an uncompetitive Game 6. If they lose, it would probably be closer to Game 3, where it was a back and forth game that they just lost.
Yeah.
Whereas the last 2 games, they haven't had anything going. The biggest problem is they haven't been playing on their toes at all. Their forecheck has been invisible. They're over-relying on the stretch passes. We know that they will come out with whatever their best is in Game 6. Will that matter? I don't know. But that is the cope, if you will.
As a general rule, general observation, they usually don't play 2 absolute stinkers in a row. They may lose multiple games in a row, but even comparing this game to the last wasn't great, but this was a whole other level of horrendous. So
the difference is the offense was the same in both games.
That is true. So I think if there's anything to take from this game, is they have to play the entire game like it's those last 3 minutes when they were just pushing.
Yeah.
That was the only time the game was even remotely entertaining for a Leafs fan.
Yeah, guys, play like it's 6-0.
Play like it's 6-0. Play like there is no tomorrow, because there may well not be. But
if you need motivation for Game 6, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's fair, absolutely. But go in there, bang and crash, put pucks on net, make things uncomfortable, and play just good hockey. That's what you have to do every game. But look, I know those last 3 minutes are nothing. We do not need to judge this game on them in any way. Marchand had been kicked out already. Everybody had given up. The Panthers it's the one moment where they kind of rested on their laurels and then regretted it because it cost Bobrovsky the shutout. But that was the only time that they showed any little bit of fire was then, and you got to take that spark and use it in Game 6.
Here's a question for you.
Sure.
And Kay from Game Over Montreal is here to torment me, I guess. But the Leafs made lineup changes going into this game that we unfortunately just haven't really had a chance to talk about because they were awful. But David Kampf was actually good.
Yeah.
He almost single-handedly created a goal by just out-hustling. 3 Panthers were standing still, and he just ran into the muck, got the puck, gave it to Scott Laughton, and he hit the darn post. And then Nick Robertson scores a goal. So are you content to say this was just a horrible effort and run it back with this lineup, or are you changing something going into Friday?
I think you leave confident. I think, like you said,
Robbie.
I think you saw enough from him that you leave him in. Robertson's the tough one because Berube barely played him. At the point when it felt like there was still opportunities to get back into this game, he was not on the ice. You would have Domi, McMahon, Nylander. You'd have these you'd have somebody else in his spot, and that was before there was that brief 5-minute period where they were just trying any line combination to see if they could get anything going. And if you're not going to play Robertson, don't put him in there. Put Yarncroc back in there. Put Holmberg back in there.
Will say that Robertson, Domi, McMahon, that is not an option on the road. That won't be an option. And but like you said, they don't play him. Robertson was the only player on the Leafs to not hit 10 minutes of ice time tonight.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I put yarn.
Funny enough, Max Domi had 18 penalty minutes too, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I do think Max Scott was the victim of a couple of soft calls tonight, but he puts himself in those situations.
Sure.
Yeah, but he puts himself in those
one,
situations, so that's on him still.
The first one, a slashing, it's 3-0. Mitch Marner just threw the whole game away, and he's trying to start a fight with Matthew Tkachuk, and Tkachuk shakes his hand to be like, "Oh, I'm hurt, ow," and they call a penalty. Which, I mean, yeah, you have to call that. The penalties, I think, were 1-0 at that point in the game, and it is what it is. The second one was a horrible call. Like they called him for holding for falling down. Bad call, but it was like 4-0 at that point, and I didn't have the energy to get mad because I was too mad at the Leafs themselves. So
yeah. Oh yeah,
whatever.
no, it's not like they got screwed by the officials. I mean, not in the slightest.
No, like
slightest.
that's the thing. Is like, was that a horrible call? Yes. Would I have been mad about it? Like,
if the game was 2-2,
if it was close,
yeah,
I'm losing my mind if the game is 2-2. But the game was like 4-0, and there was zero chance the Leafs were coming back. I was like, oh, okay, throw it away. Like whatever. Bad call, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're taking Robertson out. You're putting either Yarncroc or Holmberg back in. You get more versatility with those guys. They have some defensive. They are more defensive players, but they have some limited offensive upside. Both of them have some experience at center. Holmberg more recently. Like, you get a little bit more versatility out of them, so you can use them in more situations. I think you're taking Robertson out and you're putting them back in.
Miles Tech says Leafs in 7. I love your passion. Love it.
Keep it alive. Keep it alive, Miles. Don't let us.
Kay says congrats on 200. Oh, did we hit 200? Hey, look at that. We did something tonight, guys.
Something good happened tonight. Something good in Toronto hockey happened.
You know what? Thank you all. Truthfully, sincerely, every word in the dictionary. Like, for as much as we all unite in our hatred of the Toronto Maple Leafs, thank you all for listening to our rambles all season and for clicking that subscribe button. It does mean a lot to us. There's 16 of you in here. Make sure you drop a like on the stream as well, and we can keep commiserating together.
How many of the game overs describe their audiences as uniting in hatred of their team? I don't think anybody else does that.
Only us. Because nobody hates the Toronto Maple Leafs more than Leafs fans.
It's true. It is true. All right, we're going to move into our overtime here in just a second. So if you've got questions, you got comments on the game, on Game 6, on anything else going on, maybe we could talk about something else for a few minutes. Fire them off. Put them into the chat here, and we will get to them. Zach, if people want to keep up with you in between shows, what's the best way to do that?
You can find me on Twitter, Bluesky, and YouTube at ZachPayne41. You can find, if you want football content, NFL content, that's what my YouTube's for. But Twitter and Bluesky at ZachPayne41. Bluesky is more where I do my hockey talk.
Nice. Check it out. And you can follow me at DominicJ25 on Instagram primarily. And you can check out my Star Wars podcast. The Star Wars Underworld will, of course, be reviewing the series finale of Andor coming up this week. So tune in for that. People in the chat just sort of getting in on whether they love or hate the Leafs at this point. Miles says at least the Jays won. That's a positive. I'll take that. Scepter's lost, so they're out too. So that's lovely. Not a good night for Toronto hockey. Matthew says, do you like the lines at the World Cup? Are you watching the Worlds at all? I know Sid's over there. I know Flowers over there and McKinnon, but I have not.
I saw that they had Nathan McKinnon wearing number 9 at the World Cup. Okay. That's insanity.
Great. That's strange. I don't know. I just, after the Panthers fans were chanting USA, USA after game 4, the Americans then.
By the way.
What's that?
The Leafs are about to reward them for USA, by the way.
Yeah. But then I saw that the actual American squad lost to the Swiss, I think. So that's about the extent to which I know about the Worlds right now. Terry says, where do you think Marner ends up?
Carolina.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they did want him. and they do have a Mikko Rantanen-sized hole in their lineup.
Actually, sorry. I forgot. The season isn't over, guys. He's not going anywhere. He's signing with the Leafs after they come back to win this series and then win the Stanley Cup.
Exactly.
Have some passion.
Exactly. He wants.
You know what? We should clarify, because we don't want to be a negative network about the Leafs.
No.
Mainstream outlets are. Mainstream outlets, they love to sell negativity because they have these weird parameters where they're not allowed to be perceived as biased towards the Leafs, so they'd be negative towards the Leafs. Everyone likes to consume negative Leafs coverage anyway, so everyone just sells negative Leafs coverage, and that perpetuates the cycle. We do try to be positive here. We've been positive the last few games. Tonight, no, but it's not over.
There's a limit to which, you can remain. We're positive when there are positive things to say. There just weren't tonight.
Yes,
that's just it.
Yeah, well, that's in response to Jay Edwards' comment here. Many just love to hate on the Leafs.
That is true.
Many love to just hate on the Leafs. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is 1,000% true. But that's not here. We're hating on this game, Game 5 of Round 2, 2025 playoffs. Leafs in generally like them. Overall, have a positive view.
Well, I like them until games 5, 6, and 7.
Exactly. Okay, Digital says, my question would be, how can the Leafs get more pressure on the Panthers' weak fourth line? Going into Florida, that's going to be tough.
Okay, so this is the challenge. The Panthers' fourth line, while they're not good, they're heavy and they're fast. They are built to do two things. Dump the puck in and hit everything that moves. And they've done a great job of that so far in the games that they've been in the lineup. I think what the Leafs need to be able to do is weaponize the skill gap between the fourth line a little bit better. But the problem is the Leafs are so adverse to getting into puck battles, especially the skill guys, that the Panthers' fourth line is just outworking them. And as we all know, it's the old saying that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So it's the same problem that is present for most of the lineup, that the Leafs just have to dig in and find another gear of intensity.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Matthew says, if Lawton scored instead of hitting the post when it was 2-0, this game would have gone so differently. I'd love to live in that universe.
I actually don't know that it would. I think the score, the score would be closer, but I might push back on that notion. Maybe that's 6, but it probably still would have been a loss.
All right, let's go with this final question from Kay. Who's more likely to cut their own bangs in front of the mirror tonight, Matthews or Marner?
What? Well, I hope Matthew. Oh, I got the idea. No, I know what we have to do. This is going to be a deep cut for Leafs fans, but do you guys recall last year, or was it 2 years ago? I don't know. A time in the past, Austin Matthews, after Movember campaign, shaved his mustache, and then he scored a hat trick against the Colorado Avalanche the next game. So Austin Matthews, I'm sorry, the stash has to go tomorrow. You have to be clean shaven shave the playoff beard, shave everything for Friday night, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think a couple of the guys just got to hold him down, get the razor, get rid of it.
We should actually end on this from Miles. Who do you think is the net for Game 6? Which I'll just expand on that. If Anthony Stolarz is healthy, do you start Stolarz or Woll on Friday?
Oh, boy. Man, it's tough, right? Because the issue Woll faced in the first game was he was coming in a little bit cold. He hadn't played in a while. Do you want to put Stolarz in that position? Woll has, as we said, Woll has not played poorly. He was the only reason the last game wasn't more like this one.
But the real logic is there's no logic. There's no logic to not starting Woll unless you just believe in a revenge quest line where Stolarz just back from the dead, back-to-back shutouts or something.
Yeah, and look, you wanted Stolarz to be your playoff starter. Maybe you go back to that. But honestly, it's Woll. We'll start.
Yeah.
There's
I was
no,
trying to entertain the zombie storyline.
Hey, look, I love nothing more than a good storyline, and if they want to go all in on some sort of, miraculous comeback zombie thing, you know what? Nothing else has worked, so let's try that.
And you know what? If the Leafs are somehow able to come back and win this series, and they go on to do great things in the final 2 rounds, like, this will be the best part of the documentary, right? But
yeah,
the other world is if they lose on Friday, then this was the best season of this era of Leafs hockey, and they won 6 out of 16 playoff games.
They won one more than in 2023. And with that,
not even halfway there.
And with that, I think we will wrap things up for tonight. Tune in again on Friday. We'll be live after the fact, no matter what happens, win, lose, or I don't know. That's pretty much it. I don't think anything else can happen.
Nope. Win. We will be back Friday after the Leafs win Game 6.
Exactly. We will have nothing but positive things to say then, and we hope
after the Matthews hat trick, clean shaven,
and an Anthony Stolar shutout, just to get the whole revenge thing going.
Back from the dead, baby.
Back from the dead. All right, that's it. We will see everybody Friday. Stay strong, Leafs Nation. Stay strong. There's still hope.
Go Leafs, go.